Fundamental rights. We have just learned the meaning of rights. What are fundamental rights? Fundamental rights are the basic and essential conditions necessary for any individual to progress in life and lead a decent life in the society. As these rights are basic in nature, they have been included in the Constitution to ensure that every individual gets it. These are known as fundamental rights. No one can deny these rights to an individual. Even the government cannot make any laws that would deny the fundamental rights to its citizens. Thus, the fundamental rights are safeguarded very carefully. The Indian Constitution has provided for 6 types of fundamental rights to citizens. They are: 1. Right to equality. 2. Right to freedom. 3. Right against exploitation. 4. Right to freedom of religion. 5. Cultural and educational rights. And 6. Right to move the court. Let us discuss about them briefly. Right to equality. In India, there are people practicing different religions and speaking various languages. We have people from races like Aryans, Dravidians, Mongoloids, or mixed ones. There are people belonging to hundreds of castes across the country. We have men and women from different cultural backgrounds. All these are Indian citizens and they are equal before law. It is not that some laws are applicable to some people and the same laws are not applicable to others. Every single Indian gets equal protection of law. All citizens have equal right to use public places and facilities such as roads, parks, theaters, amusement parks, hospitals, schools, pilgrim centers, railway stations, rail and bus services. They have equal opportunity in matters of government employment. Before independence, we had a practice called untouchability. According to this practice, it was a sin for a high caste person to touch a low caste person. The Constitution of India has completely abolished this practice. Today, practice of untouchability is a crime. The Constitution has also abolished titles indicating a higher or lower social status of individuals. For instance, titles like Raja, Maharaja, Rav Bahadur, etc. have been abolished. On the whole, this right ensures that no Indian will be discriminated on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, and place of birth. Right to freedom. The Constitution has guaranteed to the Indian citizens 6 freedoms. They are: A. Freedom of speech and expression. B. Freedom of assembly. C. Freedom of association. D. Freedom of movement. E. Freedom of residence. And F. Freedom of profession and trade. A. Freedom of speech and expression. Indian citizens have freedom of speech and expression. They are free to express their thoughts through various media such as radio, television, internet, newspapers and magazines. It does not mean that they have unlimited freedom to speak out whatever they wish. They are prohibited from talks that would disturb peace and order in the society. They are not permitted to speak against the verdict given by the court of law. They are also not allowed to express indecent and immoral views that would spoil the name of an individual in the society. B. Freedom of assembly. Indian citizens have the freedom to assemble peacefully. Thus, citizens can call public meetings, they can organize agitations, morning marches, that is, Prabhat Feris, protest rallies, etc. At the same time, when they gather in a public place for any purpose, they should not carry any weapons. C. Freedom of association. Indian citizens having certain common interests and objectives can come together and form an association. It could be a students' association, an ex-students' association, a youth club, a traders' association, readers' club, etc. D. Freedom of movement. Indian citizens have the freedom to move freely anywhere in the country. They do not require a permit or visa or passport to go from one part of the country to another part of it. E. Freedom of residence. This freedom enables Indian citizens to reside and settle permanently anywhere in the country. F. Freedom of profession and trade. Through this provision, Indian citizens get the privilege of taking up any lawful profession of their choice. These are the personal freedoms given to every Indian citizen. Besides these, the Constitution has guaranteed two important civil liberties. They are: 1. No person can be arrested without following the procedure laid down by law. And second, no person can be deprived of his or her life or freedom except according to the procedure established by law. These freedoms are not absolute. That means they are not unlimited. There are certain restrictions that limit these freedoms. While enjoying them, citizens need to ensure that they do not violate peace, disturb social order, or harm public health, morality, or national interest. In 2002, the right to education was added to this list. Accordingly, children between the age of 6 to 14 years have a right to free and compulsory education. Right against exploitation. In order to protect the life and liberties of every individual, the Constitution has guaranteed the right against exploitation. Sometimes we hear about poor parents selling their children to some rich families as maid servants. This kind of buying and selling human beings is known as trade of human beings. This is a type of exploitation because what is sold or bought in this type of human trafficking is the life and liberties of an innocent boy or girl. In the past, human beings, especially Negroes, were bought and sold in slave markets as bulls are bought and sold in a bull market. This practice is known as slavery. This is another type of exploitation. There is another form of exploitation called bonded labor. What is bonded labor? If you happen to visit a coffee or tea estate, you will find many families are permanently settled there for carrying out the seasonal agricultural activities. They do not have any fixed working hours. These families are provided everything inside the estate itself. They are not given cash payments. They cannot come out of the estates and mingle with the people outside. This practice is called bonded labor. These different forms of exploitations are prohibited by law. Child labor is another kind of exploitation. Employing children below the age of 14 years in factories or mines or in any other hazardous jobs is prohibited. In 2006, the scope of this right was widened and every form of child labor is now a crime in the eyes of the law. Accordingly, even if a child is employed in jobs such as maid servant, tea supplier, or dishwasher in a hotel, it amounts to child labor. Right to religion. Indian society is a multi-religious society. There are Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Jains, Parsis, Buddhists, etc. The Constitution has given everyone the right to pray and worship according to their religion. Though every Indian citizen enjoys the freedom of religion, the government can forbid inhuman customs, traditions, and superstitions practiced in the name of religion. Cultural and educational rights. India is a land of cultural diversity with various religions, sects, and languages. The diverse cultural traditions add beauty to the Indian culture. In order to preserve these traditions and to develop every language with its unique characteristics, the Constitution has assured cultural and educational rights to Indian citizens. The provision of this right enables the minority religions, language, and tribal communities to establish separate educational institutions to conserve and nurture their language, culture, and traditions. Right to move the court. If any of the above listed rights guaranteed by the Constitution are encroached upon or denied to any citizen of India, he has the right to approach the courts for justice. This is an important right because this provision ensures that every citizen is able to enjoy these rights. Moreover, it becomes impossible even for the government to take away the fundamental rights of citizens.